could check for me. I'm hoping there's not going to be a snowstorm. February 10th.
Yeah. Every
Let's
time.
have
But so many people have to drive to Syracuse. I don't understand why they can't send 500 doses here to
I
save
agree.
the trip.
So, when you sign up, do they tell you what brand you're gonna get, like Moderna or Pfizer? Do they tell you?
Moderna.
You get what you get.
And you don't get upset.
Right.
That's what my
Right.
grandson says. You get
That's
what
it.
you get and you don't get upset.
I said that in first grade.
I'm
And,
worried.
and now again in this grade, whatever grade we're in.
I'm worried.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Shabbat-
worried
Shabbat-
that they might run out. That's my worry.
Yeah.
Well, there's only some places that have the big deep freezers. Like Wegmans isn't going to buy those big deep freezers for Pfizer.
All right,
You're not?
But they posted that they're giving shots though, although there's no appointments.
Yeah, well, there's one at East Avenue that somebody I know walked in and said, I really need this. And they went, oh, we just had a cancellation.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
East
All right,
Avenue.
we'll make the shift to services this morning, and know that hopes for vaccine availability will continue. And in the meantime, I'm happy to see everybody. We always are, and thankful that everybody looks to be in good health. Those of you who have your squares darkened, we're praying that you're in good health as well, and are happy that you're here. And it's a beautiful Shabbat Shira is a beautiful, rich, textured time for us to be together. So many of us who had the opportunity to be together for services last night took a beautiful exploration into the service and into the majesty of our prayers and the depth of them and the mystical interpretations of so many of them that were just extraordinary to weave it all together. So let's continue in that spirit with Shabbat as we give thanks for our space, for the spaces at our kitchen tables, in our bedrooms, in our living rooms, wherever we are to worship, but most of all to be together. And let's start with song and prayer and thankfulness to be together.
מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל אני ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך אשתחווה לך על קודשך ביראתך מה טוב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל מה טוב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל אדוני אהבתי מעון ביתך מקום משכן כבודך משכן כבודך ואני אשתחווה לך אברך לפני אדוני עושי מה טוב משכנותיך ישראל מה טוב מה טוב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני באמת בשבילך מה טוב משכנותיך ישראל מה טוב מה טוב מה טוב מה טוב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל משכנותיך
We pause now and we take a moment and notice our bodies, notice the finely tuned network of our system. And we say, praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Baruch atah Adonai rofecho basar umaflila asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing.
Please join me with Elohai Neshama. The Shabbat Shiraz, Shabbat of song, we also praise that we can sing together, even on Zoom, and we can open our souls, and so join me.
We'll continue now as we have noticed our spaces, noticed our bodily spaces, given thanks for our systems, for our breath, for our being. And we continue with our gratitude, with our thanksgiving as we turn to Psalm 150.
Hallelujah.
continue together as we say, praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighted in song, eternal majesty.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, בעלמדי ברכירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכנו וימיכן ובחייך בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמירה במבורך לעולם עולם מעלמיה, יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירה בעלמה ויאמרו Amen.
And we'll invite you, please, to rise in body or in spirit as we turn to our call, our expression of we're ready, we're here, and we're ready to pray as we rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir, V'nizkechu lanu mehera le'oro. May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamerot. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the cosmic lights. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Our praise to you, Adonai. You have singled out your people Israel with love.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated as we continue and pray with us, sing with us as we turn to the words of the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך בכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם. Continue with Michamocha. It's beautiful that the words of Michamocha come from our Torah portion of this week, Shirat Hayam, a song of the songs that later I will chant for you. You will see the words in our Torah portion. So now we join together in Michamocha. Shabbat shalom. Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Kadosh Yisrael, Gal Yisrael.
Last night, Donnie Massing offered us such a beautiful teaching about the opening of the tefillah, of how we open up our lips at the beginning. Our lips are circumcised. It comes from the same root that we talk about, to remove any hindrance to our prayers, to our hearts, and opening up anything that might stand between us and our full heart's expression. And these are the words that we find when we say, Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yadi tehilatecha. Open my lips that my mouth might declare your praise. We might do what we are supposed to when we open up our lips. So we invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise as we begin the tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, let my mouth declare your praise. Yalalai, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, yalalalalai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Chanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, מביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד גשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה ליד הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחייך הכל. And please join us in singing Kiddusha, a prayer for holiness. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר, שמך בארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד אלוהינו, אבינו מלכנו, ומושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים גירשתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד.
And please be seated as we continue for Shabbat Shira. We continue in song, in joy, as we notice we say Shamor v'Zachor, that we should both keep and remember, that we should hold near and important and close to our hearts, and in our practice, the keeping of Shabbat in a way that, excuse me, that makes good sense for us in these times, in all times, over time, as we hold on to the centrality of Shabbat in our week, as we head towards something that is glorious and beautiful, times that give us an opportunity for perspective and reflection, rest and renewal. We sing about the joy of Shabbat.
Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat. Mikodeshi, mikodesh shrevi Shabbat, uno meifeu, veitam g'nukvecha Shabbat. Shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat, v'hashvi'i retzita bo v'kidashta Shabbat, chemdat yamim, ata karata Shabbat, oy yismechu v'malechutecha, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat. Zechir למעשה בראשית Shabbat, זכר למעשה בראשית Shabbat, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, shomeri, 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 Shabbat v'koret, ale Shabbat.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamachazir Shechinato L'Tzion. Blessed are you whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves our thanks and praise. And we continue now with our songs, our prayers, our aspirations for peace.
I'm not sure if our choir people here. Oh, John is here. Wonderful. Looking forward to responses. Great. Sim shalom tova uvracha, hein v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yisrael amecha, barcheinu avinu kulanu kechad, be'or panecha, ki be'or panecha natzata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu.
Shalom.
Sim shalom tova ubracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yisrael amecha, Torah
Shalom.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך.
Sim Shalom.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך.
We take a few minutes, all of us, each of us, with the echoes of Sim Shalom playing in our heads and in our hearts, with the echoes of a beautiful and powerful and prolific night last night, echoing in our minds and in our neshamot, in our souls, and we pray, we meditate, we take some time in silence.
עשה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עשה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו, ולכל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עשה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן,
We, in the course of our service together, we notice and give thanks for our physical spaces. We notice and are aware of our bodily spaces. And it is a, kind of concentric circles of our own world and the community in which we live, our own individual little world, and how acutely we are aware of that in these times, right? In these times when we are spending so much time with ourselves in our own spaces, literally and figuratively, and at the same time mindful of those who are struggling, whether for weakness of body or of spirit, are in need of our attention and for us to notice. And we turn now to the words of the Mishaberach as we say, Mishaberach Avotenu V'imotenu Abraham Yitzchak V'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah Hu Yivarech et Acholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, And Leah, bless and heal those who are struggling. This Shabbat morning, we are holding in our prayers Shana Esther Bat Ruchel, Chaya Necha Bat Riva Leah, Simon Brightman, Katriel Parachia Ben Herschel Laser Vishoshana, Sally Graff, Sarah Bat Abraham Visara, William Fawcett Jr., Alan Skirker, Laura Braun, Barbara DeCario, Miriam Bat Ella, Stephen Brent, Rini Feingold, Meredith Cabanis Ader, Reverend Gordon Webster, Mary Paikunka, Irving Manis, Ralph Bookbinder, Anna Markowitz, and Mashabat Sheva. If there are other names that you would add to our list, people who are in need of healing, of wholeness, please would you unmute yourself for a moment, share that name aloud with us, and then remute yourself before we turn to our prayer.
Lois Potomlik.
Mark Friedman and Elizabeth Friedman.
Fidel
Shelley.
Shelley.
Ella and Jacob Engert.
Moshe Ron Ben Mariam, Hanach Gershom Ben Simon, Dallas Ben Amber.
How come our picture's not on?
My cousin.
May that blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored where possible, for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them renewal of body and renewal of spirit, along with all of those who are in need of prayer and of support, as we all of us join together in saying, Amen.
Amen. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Berachim Atenu, Mekor HaBracha, Lavatenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Well, Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with the Torah reading and discussion. As Rabbi Till pointed out, tonight, yesterday and this morning is Shabbat Shirah. I will share in a second the document. Would somebody read a summary of the Parsha, Shabbat Shirah, in Hebrew means Shabbat of Song? Would somebody read the summary? It's a little bit wavy, like a water of the Red Sea. So just, appropriate. This is a summary of the Parsha, so we all know what's going on. We all know the story, and we saw the movie of the splitting of the Red Sea, but there is a little bit more that's in this Parsha. So is anybody would like to read translation? Marlene? Great. You just have to unmute.
Parshat Beshalach takes its name from the second word of the Torah portion. Beshalach means when he sent forth, and refers to Pharaoh's decision to free the Israelites. Led by Moses, they depart from Egypt, but Pharaoh changes his mind and decides to pursue them. When the Israelites see Pharaoh and his army approaching, they complain to Moses that he has brought them into the wilderness to die. He assures them that God will save them. and leads them through the Sea of Reeds. From the other side, they watch as the pursuing Egyptians are drowned. In celebration, Moses and the Israelites sing a song of praise to God. Afterwards, they begin their journey through the Sinai desert. Despite their victory over the Egyptians and their liberation, however, the Israelites continue to complain to Moses. They cry out that they have no water to drink, no bread to eat. God grants them water and provides them with manna, a food substance resembling flour. While the Israelites are camped at Rephidim, they are attacked by the Amalekites. Joshua, who has been appointed by Moses, successfully destroys the Amalekite forces.
Oh, thanks, Marlene. Well, yeah, what's new, right? Kvetching. But we are going to concentrate on the positive. So this is the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, that mentions in the description that was sung by Israelites. Shirat Hayam, a Song of the Sea. I'm trying to scroll a little bit, but this is the picture that Rabbi Till founded. And this is how the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, looks in the Torah scroll. So God willing, next year, when we open up the scroll, we can see that it looks like that. And it looks different than regular Torah. Why does it look different? Because it's a poem. There are so many midrashim interpretations. Why? What does it represent? Well, some rabbis say that see, the open spaces looks like bricks, right? The bricks of the wall, the bricks of the pyramids that the Israelites were building in Egypt. Some say that the middle paragraph, right? The middle paragraph, the Israelites coming through the ocean, the Red Sea, and their right and left paragraph like a brick walls that Israelites coming through, or walls of the sea. So you can use your imagination. It's also interesting that the chanting is a little bit different than regular Torah portion, and it's different because we want to make it more festive. It's very special, and we'll talk about it. Why is it so special? But first, I will chant for you the Shirat Hayam. You can see on one side it's with vowels, and the other side without vowels. One side with with a trop. It's also very interesting that those who are in the trop class will see the trop. So don't get very confused. This is also a special trop that inserted in this Shabbat Shirah, in the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, to make it festive. It's also very significant, and I think it's amazing that the trop, right, this festive trop that is used and mixed with the regular trop, you'll hear. It's the same melody or the same nusach, if you say, the same motifs that are used in the wedding ceremonies. Okay, so when Rabbi and Cantor, sanctify the couple, right, under the chuppah, the same motifs, the same melody is used under the chuppah. Like Miadir b'shem Adonai, Barachnuchem b'shem Adonai, and you will hear the same motif. I just sang you a little piece from the wedding ceremony, but the same piece is used. The same melody is used in this chanting. Why is that? Well, there are a few ideas that I researched and I heard from rabbis that when Israelites passed the sea and were ready to receive the covenant, right, the 10 commandments, we know we're looking ahead from God, they did the covenant with God, right? And the couple that stands under the chuppah also make a covenant among themselves, right? The husband and wife also make a covenant. So the melody is the same for Shirat Hayam and for the wedding ceremony, because the Torah is also a covenant between us and Israelites, between us and God, the Israelites and God, in the same way as husband and wife also commit to each other. So it's both commitments. One is in a personal way, and this is as a nation with God. So I hope it makes sense. So let's read the prayer before, the blessing before, and it's only 11 of us, so we can unmute. And don't forget to mute yourself back for the Torah blessing. Okay, ready? Baruch hu Adonai havarach, Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת לאדוני ויאמרו לאמור. So here comes the special trope. השירה לאדוני כי גאה גאה סוס ורובחו רמה בים עוזי בזמרת יבי לי goes back to the regular trope. זה ליבן וכו אלוהי אבי ברממנחו אדוני איש מלחמה אדוני שמו מרכבות פרעה בחילו ירה בים ומבחר שלישיו צובו בים סוף תהומות יחסיומו ירדו וימצולות כמו אבן. Here we go. ימינך אדוני נדרי בכוח, ימינך אדוני תירץ אויב. Back to normal. וברוב גאונך תהרוס קמך, תשלח ארונך יאכלמו כקש, וברוח אפיך נרמו מים. ניצבוך מונת נוזלים, כפו תהומות בלב ים. אמר אויב, ארדו ועשי כחלק שלל, תמלאמו נפשי, הריק הרבי, תורישמו ידי. נשבת ברוחך כי שמו ים. צללו כעופרת במים אדירים. And here's the מיכמוך. מיכמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. And together the blessing after. You can unmute for the bracha after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata betocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. So you see it was a little bit different. So we are going to talk a little bit about the miracles. As you can see, there are three topics or three themes that discussed in this parsha: the miracle of the Israelites' escape from Egypt, the Israel's complaints in the desert, and Amalek's attack upon Israelites. So we're gonna talk about a positive. We're gonna talk about miracles. So before we talk about miracles, I want also somebody to read chapter 14. It's right before the Shirat Hayam, right? It's right before the Song of the Sea. What happens before the sea split it, right? What happened? It didn't just split, so this is just a precedent. What just happening? Can somebody read translation so we can better understand the miracle? Anybody? It's in English, no hard words. So can somebody would like to read? Marlene, thank you.
The angel of God who had been wait a minute. Oh. The angel of God who had been going ahead of the Israelite army now moved and followed behind them. And the pillar of cloud shifted from in front of them and took up a place behind them. And it came between the army of the Egyptians and the army of Israel. Thus there was the cloud with the darkness, and it cast a spell upon the night, so that the one could not come near the other all through the night. Then Moses held out his arm over the sea, and the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind all that night, and turned the sea into dry ground. The waters were split, and the Israelites went into the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians came in pursuit after them into the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen. At the morning watch, the Lord looked down upon the Egyptian army from a pillar of fire and cloud, and threw the Egyptian army into panic. He locked the wheels of their chariots so that they moved forward with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the Israelites, for the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Hold out your arm over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians and upon their chariots and upon their horsemen." Moses held out his arm over the sea, and at daybreak the sea returned to its normal state, and the Egyptians fled at its approach. But the Lord hurled the Egyptians into the sea. The waters turned back and covered the chariots and the horsemen. Pharaoh's entire army that the Israelites had marched through the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them. Thus the Lord delivered Israel that day from the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore of the sea. And when Israel saw the wondrous power which the Lord had wielded against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord. They had faith in the Lord and his servant Moses.
Thanks, Marlene. So the Israelites came through and they just witnessed this amazing miracle. And after they witnessed this amazing miracle, they sang the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. Right? Anybody would like to read this beautiful poetry, the translation of the Shirat Hayam? Marlene would like to? Or anybody?
Nobody else?
Okay, you can continue reading. Thank you.
I'll do it.
Oh, Saul? Yay! Thank you.
Wait, the English or the Hebrew?
English. Yes, thank you. Wow.
Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. They said, "I will sing to the Lord, for he is triumphant gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea.
Keep going.
The Lord is my strength and might. He has become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will enshrine him, the God of my father, and I will exalt him.
Keep going. Keep going.
Lord the warrior, Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has cast into the sea, and the pick of his officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The deeps covered them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Your
going.
right hand, O Lord, glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shatters the foe. In your great triumph, you break your opponents. You send forth your fury. It consumes them like straw. At the blast of your nostrils, the water piled up. The flood stood straight like a wall. The deeps froze in heart of the sea. The foe said, "I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My desire shall have its fill out of them. I will bear my sword, my hand shall subdue them." You made your wind blow, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in the majestic waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the celestials? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? You put out your right hand, the earth swallowed them.
Okay, and that's the end. Go ahead. Just a few more sentences.
Okay. In your love, you lead the people. You redeem in your strength. You guide them to your holy ab- abode. The peoples hear, they tremble. Agony grips the dwellers in the Philistia.
Okay.
Now are the clans of Edom dismayed. The tribes of Moab trembling grips them. All the dwellers in Canaan are aghast.
Keep going.
Terror and dread descend upon them through the might of your arm. They are still as stone. Till your people cross over, O Lord, till your people cross whom you have ransomed. You will
Okay.
bring them and plant them in your own mountain, the place you made to dwell in, O Lord. The sanctuary, O
Sorry.
Lord, which your hands established. The Lord will reign forever and ever.
Okay. Keep going.
For the horses of Pharaoh with his chariots and horsemen went into the sea, and the Lord turned back on them the waters of the sea. But the Israelites marched on dry ground in the midst of the sea. Then Miriam and the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tremble in her hand, and all the women went out after her and danced with their timbrels. And Miriam chanted for them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea."
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Saul. It was good. So you could just see the difference between the narrative and the translation of the song, that this is a poetry, a beautiful poetry. And I know it was a little bit long, but I wanted you to just feel that beauty, that triumph, that majestic, beautiful poetry. So now we can just discuss for a few minutes. Is that really what happened? Can we believe that God sent angels to lead Israelites to split the sea for them? Did Moses play any role in the victory? Did the Israelites do anything to save themselves? Is the Torah an exaggeration beyond belief? Was Israel's escape from Egypt a miracle? Okay, so we can discuss that. Any thoughts on what happened, what you just read? Any thoughts? Any thoughts about Ellen? Thanks, Ellen.
So in reading that translation in the Michamocha line, what was the word celestials about? It's not ever, I've never seen it translated to who are you amongst the gods, and why is this translator using the word celestials? I've never seen it translated that way. I don't have the answer.
Well, if you look at different if you look at different translations, every commentator translates differently.
Except the word is ba'elim. And if you look back to celestials being things up in the sky, it was kind of just hit me in the face.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So let's just talk about a bigger level, right? Could that be a miracle? Would how God could split the sea, right, and just disturb the nature of the seasons and of the sea? How could it happen? And was it a real miracle, or it was just a made up story? Like what your ideas? What do you think? How do you think Israelites felt? Do you think they witnessed a miracle, or they thought it was ordinary, just happening? It's also very interesting. I want to point out at the very beginning, when it says then Moses and Israelites sang the song, they said, I will sing. So they didn't say we will sing, they said I will sing. So anybody has idea why did they say that I will sing, and it wasn't We. Anybody has any suggestions? Well, this is the interactive part of our discussion. Marlene?
Well, I don't know, but I would think that if can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that if each person said, I will sing to the Lord, it's taking an individual personal responsibility for recognizing that you've been freed from slavery and that you're, I would think, trusting in God to venture forth into this place where there was a huge sea and risk, drowning. That would be my guess about that. But as far as miracle, I've never really known, if in Jewish thought where to think that the miracles are metaphors or symbolic of something. I really don't know that.
Well, thank you for sharing. Right. It all depends on our personalities. So I addressed the first one, your first answer. Yes, you're right. Every person, the Midrash said that every person, even a little baby, and even the women who were pregnant, and even the little babies in the tummies, they said, I will sing the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, okay? It also represents a collective I. I means the people of Israel, I. Okay, that's why it's singular and not we, not plural. There is another interesting explanation of a rabbi, I don't remember where I read it, but he said that the Israelites, right, they had a slave mentality, right? They had a slave mentality, and they used to do what they told, right? They didn't have a free will. So they were so astonished at the miracle, and they didn't know how to respond. So the Midrash says that Moses sang one line, like, I will sing to the Lord, and the Israelites repeated, right, after him. And then Moses sang the second line, and Israelites repeated after him. So again, this is just interpretation, that's Midrashim. And there is another explanation that Israelites were so astonished, they were speechless, they didn't know what to do, so Moses basically sang for them. Okay, so again, it's open to interpretation, but I think it's a very beautiful poetry. In talking about miracles, right? So this is a funny story, and I'm sorry if you already maybe read it somewhere, or maybe you know it. So we are told about the 10-year-old whose father was driving him home from the religious school. What did you learn about today? His father asked. And the child responded, the teacher told us about the Israelites' escape from Egypt. They came through the Sea of Reeds and built pontons and drove across the water. As soon as the Egyptians and their tanks were on the pontoons, the Israelites sent in their air forms and bombed them. The father looked with surprise at his child. Is that really what happened? That's really what teacher told you? Okay, hold on, where's the second part? No, not really, answered the child. But if I told you what the teacher told us, you would never believe it. Right? So it shows that not everybody believes in miracles. And it depends on the personality. So here there is another explanation of a rabbi who talks about that this is a nature, that was a nature, that it's, he says what happened at the Sea of Reed, right, or Red Sea, is a common occurrence in the region of the Suez. So what happens at the high tide, the waters of the Red Sea penetrate the sand from under the surface, and suddenly the water begins to ooze up of the sand, which has been dry. Within the short time, the sand turns to mud, but the water continues to rise, and ultimately a deep layer of water is formed above the sand, the whole area becoming flooded. So what does it tell you? Like, what can you conclude from reading this paragraph? Anybody want to comment? Marlene, you're winning all the points today. Thank you.
I didn't quite get all the physical, uh, scientific explanation of that though, but I have heard that there was possibly some natural phenomenon that could have happened. But my question is, how could it be that it happened just at the moment Israelites arrived there? That would be the part that would be miraculous.
Exactly.
If it happened in that way at that time.
Marlene, you're right to the point. You're speaking right to the point, because the same rabbi pointed out that the fact that Israelites were there at that point and the Red Sea split or whatever happened, natural, maybe force of nature, it was a miracle itself. Anybody has any other comments? So I'm just gonna throw like another comment. What about the birth of the baby, right? The Maimonides teaches us that. So what happens when the baby is conceived? Any doctors here or anybody? What happens when the baby is conceived? Right, in the women's body, the cells that,
I think people are hesitating to answer because it's like we said in Torah Study this morning. This is the G-rated version of Shabbat morning. So push us along a little. No pun intended. Push us along a little further and tell us where you're going so that we can keep it for family-friendly Shabbat.
Okay, right. So my mother just teaches that when the baby is conceived, the cells that within our bodies, the women's body, already includes our character and our personality and everything that when we grow as an adult, it's all already at their, at the conception. So, and he points out that this is already, that's a miracle itself, right? Just the birth of the body, the birth of the baby is the miracle itself. So what does it teach us? Like, what does it teach? My mother just, thoughts about like birth of the baby. What does it teach you about miracles? Marlene?
Well, since we know that there is such a thing as a birth, and it is so miraculous in the creation of life like that, then why not? Why couldn't there be other miracles like the parting of the Red Sea and the burning bush, because we do see miracles in nature all the time. So that's interesting.
Right, it is yeah, thank you. And
I have something to say.
So what is it?
Everything that we need in this world was already here when God first created it.
Right. Thank you, Linda. And so what Maimonides is teaching us is that he points out that when we go around our life, right, when we go through the life, we should pay attention into the miracles that surround us. Even if somebody survives COVID, it's a miracle, right? Or somebody survives an accident, it's a miracle. So I encourage all of you, when you walk outside and you see beautiful snow, and the sunshine, don't ignore daily miracles. Or somebody just gave you good news about something that you didn't expect. It's also a miracle. So keep your eyes open and your minds open. Marlene?
Well, I was just thinking, like when Ellen was saying about she's waiting for her pool to open. I mean, the fact that spring comes and it looks like, everything's dead and the animals are hibernating, but spring comes and nature comes back alive. That's miraculous.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, thank you for your discussion, and especially Marlene. And you get all your points up there, right? And we'll continue with Aleinu. I'll share the screen.
It's a Yasher Koach, it's Yasher Kochech, a powerful teaching, a powerful story, and so many layers for us to continue to explore about ongoing miracles and what is our responsibility to consider and think about how we understand that story in context and humanity, right? Our look at humanity, where we are as a redeemed people, right? And what our text also teaches us, just sorry to interrupt, I just have been thinking about all the things that you mentioned, and what our tradition teaches us about the importance of humanity, right? There are alongside of the beautiful teachings you just offered us, Cantor, are also the ones that point us toward the loss of humanity during that time as well, and how God stopped the angels, whatever word we're using for the angels, stopped the angels from singing, right? That we sang, because we needed that burst of expression, right? It was so, as the cantor said, so enormous, but that there was a loss of life as well, and that the free will is ours to sing Micha Mocha, right? But that God stopped the angels from rejoicing, that we should be mindful, even in the extraordinary, especially in the extraordinary, under the chuppah, right? We break a glass, right? During Pesach time, we remove a drop of wine, of sweetness. We take one out, right? To remember that at our most joyous, our most extraordinary moments, that there is a cost, right? And that we are mindful of that too, that we are aware and pay attention to those miracles. And at the same time, right, we're, as we've said so many times this particular year, capable of holding very complex feelings and thoughts and realities in our heads and in our hearts and in our souls at the very same time. And I think that's one of our beautiful charges as especially as Jews, right? We are acutely aware of holding both at the same time and making ample space. So thank you for bringing Cantor and Marlene and Ellen. Thank you for bringing and Saul with your reading, bringing some of those ideas to the fore, so that in this time, right, when our humanity is so fragile, right, that we can understand, right, when we first, a year ago, right, when we were first catapulted into COVID-landia, as we call it in our house, right, that who could have imagined that there would be a vaccine within a year, right?
Yeah,
that we would have the tenacity to support what needed to be supported, and to stay inside for a year, right? Who thought? I mean, that is, to my mind, a kind of miracle, right? That we 180 degrees had to change how we do and what we do, and every single thing that we are, we had to change almost all of that 180 degrees and still maintain our very human and principled and Jewish way. So this story and the beauty of and the powerful nature of the story is so important. Thank you for bringing it to us. And we go to the Aleinu. We go to our closing prayers. Thank you, Cantor, and
Thank you, Rabbi.
rich with meaning for sure. Let's all of us rise in body or in spirit as we turn to the Aleinu.
Thank you. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא סנגי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שחלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו גאול המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר בהי אדוני למלך הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn our thoughts now to our loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days during the period of Shloshim, and those who died at this season in years past. We open our hearts as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and in the many places that grief touches the human family. This Shabbat morning, we are mourning the loss during the period of these last 30 days. We are mourning Bev Broden, wife of Marvin Groden, Rose R. DeGiulio, mother of Linda Kirshen, Madeline Paperno, mother of Jill Paperno, and Lonnie Perlman, brother of Ellen Kroll and uncle of Kenneth Kroll. This marks the yahrzeit and anniversary of passing for Bella Alpert, Fanny Baker, Edith Bement, Shirley Berger, Goldie Shavinson, Eston Cohen, Maurice Cornell, Anna Doran, Jerome Fain, William Fawcett, Reuben Friedland, Schubert Fry, Kay Gibbons, Phyllis Ginsburg, Leatrice Golden, Natalie Gordon, Harold Green, Peter Haidu, Edith Harris, Jason Herrick, Sadie Kaiser, Hilda R. Lazier, Sarah Lewis, Marie Rose Luck, Morris Mallet, Sherry Morris, Esther Nemitz, Ann Nussbaum, Willis Pierce, Janice Richmond, Sheldon Rudman, Leon Rosenfeld, Berkeley Roth, Rose Rubel, Ann Ryback, Vincent Sangenario, Esther M. Schwartz, Sanford Shapiro, Maxine Goldstein, Sheffrin, Charlie Silver, Marie Skirker, Gerald Uzdane, Carola Wachdel, Avis Waddell, Ruth Weiss, and Randall Wood. If there are other names that you would add to either list or names better spoken aloud by you, please would you share that name aloud with us at this time?
Claudia Sennett Mack,
Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing as we all of us join together in the words of the mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudashah b'richu, Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma b'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a comfort, a source of comfort to all who are bereaved as we join together in saying, Amen.
Amen.
And please be seated. You know, because you have been, I see your faces, and I've seen many of your faces last night and Wednesday as well, that we continue this afternoon, the third and final opportunity to learn and move with our artist in residence, Donnie Massing. Join us today at 5 p.m. You can find that information on the website. Tomorrow morning, we continue with religious school and our delve into the book of Numbers, into Bamidbar at 9:30, Torah Chanting Club at 11, and Kesher and Confirmation after that. Monday evening at 7 p.m., we have a discussion with guest speaker Linda Clark, who will talk about racism and health disparities. And we want to draw your attention to that. And then join us on Thursday night at 7 p.m. for the congregational meeting on sustaining Sinai, an important gathering as well. And then a week from last night, we begin Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month with every Friday night, a different guest speaker joining us and different opportunities to learn about accessibility and inclusion in our congregation and in the community more broadly. Look on the website for information to submit your video for the Purim Spiel, and join us next Saturday for Winterfest at 5 p.m. And then lastly, I want to ask you if there are any announcements that we should know about from you, any news, any joys, any information we should know from your seat in the pews. Okay. Well, join us, please, as we continue with Motzi. We conclude with Kiddush, Motzi, and our closing song.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim tovim. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tavon. Let's sing together. Adonai Oz Lemo Iten. Adonai Yivarech et Amo v'Shalom. All of us can use a blessing. May God give us strength to us people. May God bless us all with strength. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai varech et amo, Adonai varech et amo v'shalom, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And thank you for your participation, Saul and Marlene and Ellen and Linda.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Join us. We're unmuting. You can unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself. Yes, I think I cannot do it right now. We wish you Shabbat Shalom. Come back and join us at 5 o'clock. And we wish you Shabbat Shalom and good health and warmth today.
Thank you. Toda rabba.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Saul. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Shabbat Shalom. Alan, you muted.
Let's see what happens.
Can you unmute?
I said, especially to Saul, who did a great job reading today. And if we were at Temple, I would have a cookie and pizza for you.
Yeah, alavai.
Let's go to temple now.
As soon as my pool opens, that might happen.
Well, that's a miracle.
It's my optimism. Oh, well, the pool will in the middle, it'll be the dry